Hi everybody, it's Wendy from Ask the Landlady, and I'm here to give you all the tips and tricks to help make a profit in real estate rentals. Check out my book sometime, out there on Amazon, Lessons from the Landlady. And today's question is, how do I handle reasonable accommodations for my tenants? Okay, over time, your tenants are gonna ask you, are going to come to you with some requests. They're going to ask you for things. Maybe they want new carpet, or they want you to paint a wall, or they want a ceiling fan, or they need a grab bar in the shower. So how do you know which requests that you must honor and which you're allowed to deny? Okay. So first of all, be aware that landlords are required to make reasonable accommodations for individuals with disabilities. Okay. These accommodations might be changes like allowing them to put in a handicapped accessible ramp because they are now in a wheelchair, or to put in grab bars in the shower because they're having a history of falls and their doctor says this is something that would be very helpful to their life. Or there might be services that they need to have come into the home. A caregiver might need to stay overnight with an individual. So those are all things under Fair Housing Act that you must allow to happen. These are reasonable accommodations because somebody's had a life change, and in order for them to be able to fully enjoy the premises, they just need some reasonable accommodations. Okay, now that does not mean that you have to pay for them. Let's be clear here. I had, for example, I had a tenant who lived in a single family home and they required a ramp to get in and out of the home. I believe he had had a stroke and needed to be put into a wheelchair. So they came to me. He was a veteran, so there was an agency involved and they were willing, the agency was going to come in and put the ramp in. So we worked well together, did up an agreement that they were going to put in the ramp, and that when they moved out of the home, that if I wanted them to, they would take the ramp out, which is what did happen. A few years later, I believe the individual went to a nursing home and they came back, before we did security deposit and everything, they took the ramp back out. And you do not have to do it because, again, this is, you're allowing the reasonable accommodations, but you wouldn't know how to build possibly an ADA accessible ramp for somebody with a wheelchair. That would take a professional and that would cost some money. So usually a lot of times an agency will be involved, or the family themselves will hire somebody, and you get to check off on that it is something that is going to be safe and required for them for their usage. And you can do some sort of agreement on that in place and maybe just specify whether it's something you want to keep or not keep. Like grab bars in the showers, you might say, great. At the end of the tenancy, I'm happy for them to remain there because I know they were installed by a professional contractor and they're good to go. So those are all types of things you can do that. So those costs are the responsibility. Anything like ramps, shower bars, raised toilets, whatever, those are all the responsibility of the tenant. Now, however, changes in policy, like allowing a tenant to have a dedicated parking spot because, maybe it's all open parking, but they need to be very close to the door, and because they're disabled, that is a change that you will need to make, obviously on your own without charging them for that. Okay, you can't say, oh, well, suddenly since you get the parking spot by the door, I'm going to charge you. No, they are handicapped, and you would provide them with that handicap dedicated space as a reasonable accommodation, or allowing them to have an aide come into the home to stay with them overnight. Those are all things that you cannot charge for, that you are going to simply allow because it's necessary for them to enjoy those premises. Okay. That all being said, I recommend that you have a reasonable accommodations policy on place with your lease. That kind of gives everybody a chance to say, I'm going to abide by fair housing laws, and I know if you come to me with a reasonable accommodation, here's how I want us to proceed. I want you to come to me with it in writing, and we want to have a written agreement, those types of things. So you want to have maybe all that specified. If you don't have one of those, go over to my website, asklandlady.com. You can buy all my forms really cheap. I think it's $19.99, and there is a reasonable accommodation policy, which might be able to help you out. So check that out. I would love to hear your comments and questions. So shoot me something in the comments and hit subscribe. That way we can keep going on this journey together to be great landladies and landlords and make money. Thanks. Have a great day.